All right, go for it.
Hey, Harry. Just kind of evaluate yourself through these first two games as a starter, and just how much did the amount of reps you were able to get last year because of the amount of blowouts maybe kind of speed
Yeah,
up your development, if any.
yeah, those were the reps last year. I think essential to being able to contribute this year.
Mhm.
And what was really fun was just being able to also progress between week 1 and week 2, and of course having the company of um, Josh, Wyatt, Thayer, and Nick is fantastic company to keep, and they help me progress. And of course, our unit is filled with great guys that encourage progress. But definitely, like the reps I got last year were so helpful in just kind of getting used to tempo. Of course, it was later in the game when we had leads, but it was very essential to be able to kind of understand how a game functions at Ohio State versus in high school.
And just a quick follow-up. Are you still taking second team reps at center at all?
Yeah, so I in regards to practice, I usually practice at just left guard.
Okay.
But we have a great, like, again, our underclassmen this year as well are fantastic. And, but I snap often just so I'm always ready and reserved if anything happens. But of course, between center and guard, it's a quick switch. Of course, there's a little bit of a learning curve between, but it's always capable to do both.
Thanks.
All righty, next up we'll go to Joey Kaufman from the Columbus Dispatch. Joey.
Harry, how did you when you were making the switch to guard, who did you kind of lean on for advice, and who helped you kind of the most the transition?
Yeah, I would say while at Ohio State, Wyatt Davis. Wyatt was an immense help and sort of a guy to lean on during the off season in regards to technical questions and sort of understanding the game from that position, but also watching Jonah Jackson for a full year. There's possibly no better person to watch than Jonah as well, because he was so incredible, great leader, great dude. He's doing fantastic at Detroit now. So there was no two better guys to learn from than Jonah and Wyatt. And so I was really grateful and thankful for that.
All righty, next we'll go to Austin Ward from Letterman Row. Austin.
Harry, you said you got better from week 1 to week 2. We know you graded a champion this week. Where did you see that improvement?
I think it's funny because I was talking with Coach Wilson after the game, and he was asking how I thought I played, and I said, really playing against Penn State, it was kind of like the first time I felt like I was playing football rather than like doing assignments or thinking too much. It felt like I was playing football, and that lets you loosen up and make plays. And of course, for me, sometimes it's easy to get in your head, and it's easy to lose yourself in situations, scenarios, predictions, estimations, and instead of just playing football. And when it comes down to it, football just comes down to hit a guy, try not to get hit too hard yourself, and keep your composure, and don't complicate it too much, just play ball. And so I think that was kind of it. And again, learning behind the line we had last year and with the guys we have this year, they kind of gave me the foundation to be able to just play football and not overcomplicate it.
All right, next up is Patrick Murphy, 247 Sports. Patrick.
Hey, Harry, are you familiar with the guard center guard transitions of Ohio State in the past? Billy Price, Pat Elflein, those guys?
Yeah, those guys, so like in coming here, it was especially advertised to me, center, but of course understanding how Billy operated, how Josh operated, how, Pat, Michael Jordan, all those guys were sort of operating throughout the interior. And so that was something that I was well prepared for, and I understood. And of course, it's just an opportunity to be able to play football with good dudes, regardless of position. So, yeah, but I was definitely aware of the guys before me and their sort of route.
All righty, we'll go next to Andy Anders from Press Pros. Andy.
Yes, you've talked a little bit already about how you improved week 1, week 2, but looking at the line as a whole, it seemed like you guys were able to get a little more movement off the ball in the running game against Penn State. Can you talk about how you guys as a unit have gelled from week 1 to week 2, knocking that rust off?
Absolutely. Well, I think that's what it comes down to is reps. And Coach Day talked about how, you don't really know what sort of team you have until you have that first game. And of course for us, It was a first game against a great opponent where we were directly into conference. And so I know for me especially, and I don't want to speak for the other guys, but for me especially significantly playing this time rather than just coming in the fourth quarter, I had to really get my sort of sea legs. And so I think that was just sort of like the natural progression and just building confidence, building sort of you're getting your feet in the ground and being able to work with that. I just think that naturally happened between week 1 and week 2.
We'll go next to Dan Hope from 11 Warriors. Dan.
Hey, Harry, I wanted to ask you, seems like you had a lot of fun this off season with playing music and doing stuff on social media. Just kind of what inspired you to do all of that?
I don't know. I know for me, like I took a big resolution to read more during quarantine. And so like yesterday we had a day off, and I don't want to talk about perhaps non-football stuff in a football environment, but I really wanted to expand in this offseason. I wanted to expand my understanding of things outside of football because I'm passionate. I have various dreams of, owning a bookstore, sailing across the Atlantic Ocean, doing stuff and traveling. And so that was kind of, and luckily social media, though it can be the sort of a bane towards sincerity and a bane towards authenticity. I wanted to use it as a very natural sort of platform and a natural sort of like a town square of just I can't really go out and busk on a street corner and play music for pennies and dimes, but I can kind of go on Twitter and screw around, and some people like it. So it was really fun. I was really happy to do, and I was glad that people liked it too.
Have you been trying to encourage the other guys to read more with you?
Absolutely. I've been hoping. I want to start a sort of book club, and hopefully that can become a sort of thing and share ideas with people. I read the Bhagavad Gita yesterday, which is a central text in Eastern philosophy and Hinduism, and I was like, there's nobody to talk to that I know around here, and so I was kind of asking people I've met through engineering, what their thoughts were, but I've always been looking for people to talk with ideas with.
Thanks, Harry.
All righty, we'll go next to Bill Rabinowitz from the Columbus Dispatch. Bill.
Yeah, Harry. First of all, I'm jealous of you as a guitarist because you're much better. Secondly, where does this kind of Renaissance man kind of stuff come from? Does that come from your parents or your, what is it about your upbringing or you that's caused that?
I don't know. I know my mother did a great job of raising me. My dad did a great job of getting me into music, and then I had such fantastic teachers to get me into literature, and so that kind of molds all these things. But I spent my childhood reading about great thinkers and great men, and it sort of, I think, becomes exponential when you read about musketeers and you read about great men. A 19-year-old who fought in France, and he fought in England, and then you read about Jim Hawkins going to Treasure Island, and you read about Ishmael and Captain Ahab looking for Moby Dick, and you read things about great men who are well versed in the world and know many things, and you become sort of jealous. I've done a little bit of traveling, but of course I haven't sailed and gone whale hunting, and I haven't been a musketeer in France. But you read great men, and books make you hold the company of great men and great thinkers, and you have very intimate conversations with the greatest thinkers of human history, and it sort of warrants you to check yourself and to improve yourself, and it kind of just makes you very hungry and very anxious to learn more things because you read the feats and you read the words of great thinkers and you think, what have I done? And it makes you want to be able to share such company as that. And so I think it's very natural that as you look for more, you realize you need to find more, and it sort of never stops. So that's sort of the boat I find myself in.
All righty, we'll go next to Nathan Baird from Cleveland.com. Nathan.
Hey, Harry, I really don't know how to follow some of that. I wanted to ask about Nicholas Petit-Frere. We were talking to Kevin Wilson yesterday, and he was talking about how there's kind of a different sort of glimmer in his eye this year from a competitive standpoint. What have you noticed just about what he's bringing to the field this season?
Absolutely. I love Nick. And of course, it's always very hard. Nick and I were both second team guys, and it's hard to sort of establish a swagger and a confidence, understanding that, you have a role as a second team guy to support the guys in front of you. And so you're not the guy, you're a guy supporting the guys. And so I think Nick stepped into the new role fabulously, and he's fantastic, and I love him, and he does such a great job. And I think he's not loud, and he's not crass. He's very calm, and he's very he's just great company to have and a great man to have on the line. But I totally see the confidence that he has, and it's very like charming and reassuring to see that in him.
All right, we'll go next to Tim May from Letterman Row. Tim.
Thank you very much, Mike. I don't know where to start here or end, but I was just wondering, Harry, have you found people or some people or maybe one person on the team, maybe who's not as learned or as well read as you are, but you consider to be a deep thinker, in that regard? I mean, have you run into anybody like that can share sort of your thoughts?
I think strongly. Tommy Eichelberger went with me to Nicaragua this year. And we shared some, and of course you were in Nicaragua when the spring season was getting canceled. Ohio State was getting moved to online. Airports were possibly closing. And so we were down there and we shared some very intimate moments. But to see him, and Tommy as well, as an incredibly quiet dude. And many people think that he doesn't have a lot to say, but I think he's incredibly profound. And I think that he's, I always think of a little phrase where a wise man said nothing at all. And, a fool is remembered for what he says, a wise man for what he does not say. And I think Tommy is full of no words that mean very much. And I think that his character, and I just think he's a profound character, and one of my greatest friends that I can always lean on.
And do you feel like you're well situated to take advantage of the name, image, and likeness thing if it ever comes about with NCAA possibly next year?
I hope so. I hope I can get sponsored by Half Price Books or something, or some sort of something like that. That'd be nice.
Yeah. Thanks, man.
All righty. And the last questioner for Harry will be Tony Gerdeman from Buckeye Scoop. Tony.
Harry, you talked. Sounds like the second game things have slowed down for you. Were you surprised at maybe how fast things were in that first game?
Yeah, absolutely. I was like, and again, it's so different because it's even just on game day itself. Last year, it's like you do the warm up and then you go on the sideline and the game unfolds before you, and the starters loosen up the defense and they work through all the tough stuff, and then you can come in later and sort of relieve everybody. But it's very different to go in when it's the first game of a season that potentially wasn't going to happen, lots of energy. And this is your first sort of rodeo. And so it was very different, but luckily, again, surrounded by great guys, you sort of feel yourself naturally having to keep up the pace. And again, naturally, I think just with more reps, you build more confidence. And but definitely, it was my first experience really starting a collegiate game, and so it was something that I had to learn and learn quickly, naturally in such an environment. But definitely, it was a very new experience, but very grateful to have it.
Thank you.
Well, Harry, I think I speak for everyone when we say we could talk to you all day, but we really appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you.